I don't ever smoke the dizzy, but we can always share some dizzies. It's just a cup in time. This song doesn't have to rhyme. Life's all of us, not every moment we can be feeling fine. I wanna share a moment, just a second if you will, maybe even a cup of thrill. We could share this performance. It's tea time, come sit with me.
Well, welcome guys, Miss Liz in the house, and we are back. We had an incredible afternoon this afternoon with Leslie Davenport, and we talked about climate anxiety. So check that one out. It is live now, so you can check that one out. But tonight we have Angela Haas in the house, and we're going to talk about some romance. We're going to talk about slow burn romance. That is the tea we are serving in the house tonight. So get ready for an incredible tea time tonight. But before we get started, you guys know how Miss Liz rolls. Get over to all those platforms: Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, Alignable, Lemonade, Clapper, Blue Sky, all those good platforms. Give those a like, follow, subscribe. And if you notice that the guests are on those platforms, follow them as well, because that's how we make a difference, by supporting one another. Also, jump over to the podcast apps: Podbean, iHeartRadio, Listen Notes, Deezer, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. On all the other ones that Miss Liz has mentioned, I'm on all of those as well. So give those a like, follow, and subscribe. Get these tea times out there, because they do resonate with listeners out there, and they do make a difference for the guests that are coming to the table. Then jump over to babyboomers.org. If you're looking to be looking to be on different podcast shows, they have over different 50 shows over there. Miss Liz has been partnered with them for about 4 years, so check that out as well. Give those guys a pitch. There's all walks of life of podcasts over there, so if you're looking to be featured on those, jump on over to babyboomers.org. Now let's get this started with the disclaimer and then a beautiful intro for Angela, and then we're going to get and serve some tea and have some fun with all of you guys tonight. Disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live show. Miss Liz's Tea Time is a global platform dedicating to sharing real life stories, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations that inspire awareness, healing, and connection. I'm Miss Liz is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment during the live broadcast, please grant StreamYard permission to display your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that all the content brought forward during any Tea Time show is presented in good faith. However, discussions may include opinions, beliefs, and perspectives that do not necessarily represent the views of Miss Liz or the Tea Time platform. Information shared by guests is based on their own experiences and is perceived to be accurate at the giving time of airing. All guests, viewers, and participants are responsible for using their own good judgment when considering any action or decision that may relate to these discussions. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to trauma, abuse, grief, mental health, and other emotionally triggering subjects. Listeners' and viewers' discretion is strongly advised. Tea Time with Miss Liz is an open discussion forum designed to offer insight, inspire awareness, and create connection. It is not a substitute for professional, medical, legal, or therapeutical advice. If you require professional support, please seek assistance from qualified professionals or trusted resources in your area. If you have any questions regarding this disclaimer or the content of this discussion, you are welcome to contact me, aka Miss Liz, directly on my email at bookingmissliz@gmail.com, or visit my link tree at Miss Liz's Tea Time. By choosing to participate in, comment on, or view these live shows, you acknowledge and accept this disclaimer. Your participation is entirely voluntary. I, Miss Liz, welcomes you to join the conversation with an open heart, and if at any time you feel this platform is not right for you, I respect your wishes and decision and welcome you back whenever you're ready. Tea Time with Miss Liz is serving truth and awareness one cup at a time. Well, welcome to Tea Time with Miss Liz, where every conversation reminds us that life does not always unfold according to plan. Yet even the most unexpected detours can lead us towards healing, growth, and a beautiful new beginning. Today, we are delighted to welcome Angela Haas, indie romance author, storyteller, and podcast host, whose emotionally rich novels celebrate resilient characters, authentic love, and the courage it takes to begin again. Through books such as My Plus One Equals You and No Climb Too High, Angela creates heartfelt, slow burn romance filled with meaningful connection, personal growth, vulnerability, and second chances. Her stories remind us that love is rarely about perfection. It is about two people finding the courage to be honest, to heal, and to trust that their past does not have to decide their future. Angela writes characters who have lived through disappointment, faced personal challenges, and learned that starting over does not mean starting from nothing. Every lesson, every scar, and every act of courage becomes part of foundation for that what comes next. Today we'll explore the inspiration behind My Plus One Equals You and No Climb Too High, creating emotional, authentic, and resilient characters, why slow burn romance allows relationships to grow with depth, love, vulnerability, and the courage to trust again, writing meaningful second chances stories, balancing creativity, publishing, and podcasting. Angela reminds us that happily ever after is not about finding a perfect life. Sometimes it's about finding the courage to create a more honest one. So grab your favorite cup and join us for a heartwarming conversation filled with storytelling, resilience, romance, hope, and real life tea, truth, experience, and awareness. And let me get Angela in here and let's spill some tea.
Hello.
Welcome, Angela.
Thank you. Thanks for that great intro.
Just give me a second. Let's see if it's going to kick in. There we go. We got you, Angela. Welcome, Angela.
Thank you so much. Thanks for that intro and thanks for having me.
It is a pleasure to have you on the show. I like getting into the good romance books because I do all the genres, but I like romance. You know, a little romance goes a long way in today's world. So, right. Angela, tell us a little bit about yourself before you get into the books, who you were as a little girl and who you are now.
Well, as a little girl, I was living on the side of a mountain in Colorado. I grew up in Green Mountain Falls, Colorado. There is no gas station and there's one stop sign in the town. And it was truly just sort of being out in the wilderness and kind of a lonely existence as a kid because there wasn't a lot of other kids. You know, it wasn't suburbia. There wasn't, you know, just neighborhood kids running around. It was me and my brother climbing trees and kind of being on our own because our parents both worked. We're both, you know, I'm a Gen Xer and we're the latchkey kids, and that's really what it was like. So, but I, you know, went to a small school and went off to college and actually started as a theater major, but then decided I wasn't sure if that was going to be my career. And I didn't really know if I could move to LA and things like that. So I started working in a business that my husband and I now own. And I was a writer my entire life because, again, you know, we didn't have technology or cell phones. So to keep ourselves busy, I started writing in spiral bound notebooks, and I still have all those notebooks that I have my early stories in. And yeah, I started actually writing older women superheroes books. So, and because I really wanted to show that women, we get our powers as we age, not when we're young. And I have 2 of those books out, but then I kind of wrote a romance accidentally. I never thought I could write romance. I never thought I'd be good at it. And yeah, I just sort of cranked it out just one day, just sat down, and My Plus One Equals You is a wedding themed romance because I was a bridesmaid 5 weekends in a row in the year 2000, one after another. I was a bridesmaid, all different weddings, all different themes, Greek Orthodox to a barn in the mountains to a city wedding. And I realized I had so many wedding stories, and that's kind of how I started writing that one.
Well, and going to so many weddings in such a short period, you got to see the different varieties, right?
Yes. The very simple wedding to the very religious to the very expensive wedding and everything in between. So yeah, that's definitely what inspired that first romance.
So did you get some of your characters from any of those weddings?
Yes, some of the side characters for sure. The best friends in that book are my actual, or based on 2 of my actual best friends that were at my wedding. And just sometimes it's the kind of supporting cast at weddings, the uncle that takes his shirt off and starts whipping it around his head on the dance floor, and the bridesmaid making out with a waiter. I mean, I've kind of seen it all. So yes, definitely a lot of character inspiration.
So, Angela, have you ever gone to a wedding where they played a chicken song?
Yes, almost every wedding I've been to. Yes. Yep.
And for everyone that doesn't know what the chicken song is, and go and check it out, because
Yes.
I've been to many weddings and even family reunions. We played a chicken song, so it kind of just brings everybody on the dance floor, right?
Yeah, it's an obligatory song, and even though you're like, oh my gosh, not this song, you dance to it anyway, probably because you've had some cocktails, but you know, you can complain about it, but everyone has to dance to it for sure. Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
Angela, we have some questions coming in. I'm just going to get them out to you. The first one comes in from Mac. What first inspired you to write slow burn romance instead of fast paced love stories?
You know, I've read all kinds of romance, and I just decided I really love the phases of buildup before the intimate moments. I love the flirting, the lust phase, the dreamy phase, and I just love sort of the will they, won't they. And sometimes when I read a book where an intimate moment like happens like really early on, you're like, oh, okay, well, they're already together. There's no push and pull. And I probably have a little bit more, I don't know, I was raised on When Harry Met Sally and those kind of rom-coms, and you know, where there's humor and ups and downs, and it isn't all the, you know, the sex, I guess. So, I mean, that's part of it, but I have a little bit different idea of what I find romantic, but the slow burn, that fits me more than anything. So,
well, the characters got to get along, right? They got to be like a Harry and a Sally, right?
yeah, and they have to have a push and pull, and you know, the big intimate moment is kind of the reward of like finally they're going to be together after all they've been through. So, yeah, that's what I like about it.
So, Angela, can you tell us if there's some humor in your books, or?
Yes, there's lots of humor. I don't take it too seriously. Lots of banter, you know, some silly situations mixed in with the drama. So, yes, especially in No Climb Too High, that takes place on a ranch in Colorado, very much bringing in my personal experiences growing up in Colorado and what that felt like. And it's a fish out of water, which a travel writer has to come and do a story on this ranch, which is it's a place where veterans can come home and heal and do things like equine therapy and nature walks and sort of trying to do some healing without sort of the traditional medicine. Not that there's any wrong in that. I wanted to present like some different healing options. And but this travel writer is a fish out of water. So she's from New York going back to Colorado, and there's some funny things that happen with the cowboys. So
we got cowboys, we got drama, we got humor, we got it all.
Yes, it actually takes you through all the emotions. So, yeah.
Well, we have a question here for you again. It was my +1 equals you inspired by real life experience or completely fictional?
No, there's a lot of real life. I put a lot of my real life experiences in every romance from some part of my life, but definitely when I was a bridesmaid, seeing every friend I had get married, you're happy for them. There's no denying it, but there's part of you that's like, when is it my turn? Why am I the last single person on earth? And I got to explore those feelings in that, because she is kind of that always the bridesmaid, never the bride kind of person. And so I really could speak to those feelings and what that feels like. But also there's an awful ex in the book that is very much based on someone I used to know. So yeah, I mean, always put a little of my personal experience in the books for sure.
Well, Angela, we have a comment here. Congratulations on publishing with Spotted Owl Publishing. What an exciting milestone.
Well, actually, so Spotted Owl is my company.
Oh,
Isn't a publisher. I'm a completely self-published author. And it's just a business decision because when you're an indie author, it is better that you form a company to keep everything nice and tidy because you still have to pay taxes and you still have an account and you still deposit, you still get deposits from KDP, which is the Amazon publishing platform. And so Spotted Owl Publishing is me, essentially. And it's just kind of my business handle of my writing career. So it's just something that it's good practice if you're going to be an indie author. And I've thought about pitching, but the path to traditional publishing is changing every day. And I've weighed pros and cons. I've talked to industry experts, and self-publishing is just better for me because you ultimately retain control over your work, and you can publish now where you will wait on average 18 months if you get accepted to see your work published. And you also have to do a lot of the marketing yourself. They expect you to have TikTok and all the platforms and have followers built in. So I just do it myself, and I sell a lot in bookstores, and yeah, I'm happier that way.
so how did you get the name Spotted Owl?
Well, I love owls. Part of my other career, I was the gallery buyer for an indigenous art gallery. So I would go to the reservations and speak with, Southwestern Pueblo communities primarily. But I just learned a lot about what owls mean and just kind of their guardianship, and they can kind of transcend, the dark side, the light side. And I just love owls in general. So that was just a perfect thing for me. Yeah, to choose Spotted Owl.
So Angela, do you have any owls in your romance?
Not yet.
Not yet. She's thinking about it. We just planted the seed just right now.
No, not yet. Mostly I'm in my Colorado Ranch series. There's going to be a dog in each one. In the first one, it's a bulldog named Jameson. And the second one, it's a Chihuahua named Beans. And so I just going to have a dog first and everyone. But yeah, I actually have an owl sticker right here in my laptop that you can't see. But yeah, owls are like my favorite thing.
Well, you mentioned bulldogs, and you have two bulldogs. You have an English and a French bulldog.
I have a Frenchie and an English, both rescues.
And then you have a mixed German a sheepdog.
She's like she's a shepherd mix. So but a shepherd boxer. She has these long boxer legs, but she looks like one of those herding dogs too. She's kind of a mix, but yeah, all rescues and all just my whole heart for sure.
So do you plan on putting all of those dogs into your story one day?
Probably, yeah.
This is what we do as writers, right? We throw people in that we know and animals that we know, and then people that read the stories, unless they know us, they don't really know that it's them in there, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So we have a question here for you again, and it was No Climb Too High inspired by any real life experience?
Yes. So just growing up in Colorado and camping and hiking and learning about wilderness survival, and I just decided I don't like it. I don't like nature anymore.
I've seen that. No camping.
Yeah, I don't like camping. I've done it all. I took orienteering so I could, if I got lost, I knew what to eat and how to find fresh water and build a fire, and I could do all those things. But it just was a lonely childhood. It just was. And I don't know, there's just in the woods, when you're really in the woods, and that's where your house is, there's no garages or lawns or street lights, really. I mean, there's one down the road, but it's kind of scary growing up as a kid because there's wild animals. I've been chased by a bear. I heard mountain lions, seen mountain lions. There was, when I was a kid, Unsolved Mysteries filmed an episode with Robert Stack. Remember Robert Stack? And he was on my street because people kept seeing Bigfoot. So Unsolved Mysteries came to my street. And so all these things, and it was like, I was scared a lot as a kid. I just wanted a garage. I wanted to live in suburbia. I wanted to be with people, you know, and I just work through that with my main character, Roxanne, because she's coming home in a way and making peace with the reasons why she doesn't like Colorado anymore. Now, Colorado is an amazing state. So it's a beautiful place to live. We have the best water. Like, we just have great things here. And the weather is usually really wonderful. But for someone who grew up here my whole life, there was a time where I just fell out of love with it. And I really work through that with my character. So,
you know, and Angela, I can see why you don't like camping, because you were like camping all your life as a little girl, right?
Oh yeah, that's all we did. It was like hiking, camping, being outdoors, which was great. I mean, you learn a lot, and I learned a lot about nature that I appreciate, but you know, once you do it in college too, I want to sleep in my bed. I don't mind hiking, but I don't want to be lighting a fire and smell like campfire. And just because I've done it my whole life. So there's a part of me that doesn't ever want to do that anymore.
So Angela, did you ever see Bigfoot?
I tell this story, people tell me I'm crazy, but there's people really who have seen it. They swear to you that they've seen it out there. And there's so much wilderness out here, you can't map it really. But when people are like, well, you would have seen a dead one. Well, I've never seen a dead bear. I mean, I've never seen a bear skeleton in my entire life of hiking Colorado. I've never seen, but they exist. But so I tell the story where I heard something one night, and it was a sound that I couldn't identify. And I have heard all kinds of animal sounds. Animals make weird sounds and different, like mating or finding cubs, or they make different sounds. I've heard bears hiss like snakes. It's not that. But I was visiting my parents, like I was home from college for something, and I was typing on my computer, and this call rings out through the valley, and it stayed in the air for so much longer. And my body started to react before my mind was like, what's that? The hair on the back of my neck stood up, on my arms, goosebumps, my eyes started to water. Like, I went into a fight or flight mode just from the sound. And I was 20 years old and I wanted my mommy. I went upstairs because it scared me so much and I couldn't identify it. And then years later, I'm in my apartment vacuuming, and I have the Discovery Channel on, and I didn't even pay attention to what show was playing. I just had it on for noise, and I hear that sound again, and I just reacted the same way, and it was a Finding Bigfoot show.
Wow.
And I was like, that's the sound. Like, I didn't connect it to Bigfoot when I heard it, but then when they were playing it back as a Bigfoot call, I was like, oh my God. So who knows? But
you never know, right?
I can't explain that sound. I cannot explain it.
Well, and you know, I think like in the Bigfoot net doesn't want us to really know.
No.
Right? It wants to keep us in suspense, right? It's like a book. It's a suspense. Do they fall in love or do they not fall in love?
Right, exactly. They don't want to be found. So yes. I feel bad. There's been a question up really high. I don't know if we try to answer all of them or how it works, but someone asked a while ago if I had advice for aspiring indie authors.
Yes, it's right here. It comes in from Bargain Homes, and it's what advice would you give aspiring indie authors just starting their writing journey?
I always tell people it's so important for you to have a community. I started writing, I didn't have a community. I didn't have people I could bounce things off of. I didn't have that support network where you can get recommendations and just have people to commiserate with and to ask advice. And there's a list of communities that I've been a part of that have helped me grow as an author, but that's the biggest one. And the second one, there's so much advice, but really just start writing. Don't get discouraged. Just write what you want. There's all conversations around writing to market, and I want this to sell, and researching your comps, and those are all good things, but there's readers for everything. You will be surprised, but there are readers for everything. And so just write what you want.
Well, the next question that comes in is from David, and it's what do readers tell you most often after finishing your books?
I would say the comments I've gotten in reviews and just from messages is they couldn't put my books down, even the romance. And actually learning to write action adventure, like superhero sci-fi, helped me write better romances because I really want you to turn the page. I want you to tell yourself, oh, just one more chapter. I like to write short chapters for the most part. And I tried to write like I like to read, but that always made me feel good that people said they couldn't put my books down.
It's always nice to hear feedback, right? When someone
yes, the good feedback.
Because then you're like, yes, I did it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we have a question here from Rick, and it's what made you decide to become an indie author?
Well, I was always a writer. I published little things, here and there, but it was actually during COVID, and I had all these stories that I wrote as a kid and in high school, and I thought, well, I guess I'll look at these and see if there's anything there that I could work with. And I just, started to do some research. I was really involved with classes from Writer's Digest at the time, because that was the resource I had. And I took a class, I paid for a class, and it was supposed to be working with how to pitch to an agent. And I went through the class, and they have you where at the end you can pitch to their agents. And I did my outline and pitched to them, and they ripped it to shreds. And okay, I learned from that, but at the same time, I did pay for this class. It wasn't like I was cold calling some agent to tell me this is terrible, so you should just not be a writer. Yeah. And so after I cried in the shower, I went to Facebook and said, is this normal? This was a class. Shouldn't they have been, I think you can always learn from feedback, but telling me to quit, I wasn't totally prepared for that. And then I met someone who was like, no, I'm going to help you. Someone came out of the ashes and said, let me guide you. And from there, I just started to learn more about the indie space and started to feel like, hey, I can do this. So that's kind of my...
Yeah, well, some feedback is nice to get, but some feedback is a little harsh, right? And it's just
right.
Tell me to give up on my dream.
That's not. Well, and there's no information. Feedback is true information. It's actually the marriage of praise and criticism. Yeah. And so you can learn from it because it's giving you something specific. Saying this is awful, well, that doesn't tell me really why, and you should quit. That doesn't help me grow.
That's kind of like a direction, right? That's kind of like this is what I think you should do with your life. How dare you tell somebody what to do with their lives?
Rude. Okay.
Yeah. And especially when you pay for it, that's even an extra step.
I know.
Right?
I was learning, I wasn't trying to just cold call this person. I was trying to learn and but it happens. Even that's the other piece of advice. You are going to get 1-star reviews. You are going to have people say they hate your book. You are going to have people, it is tough out there. You got to have a tough skin, but I that happened for a reason. And from there, all these other good things happened. So sometimes you have to go through that bad, but something good is coming.
Absolutely. Well, the next
Yeah.
question that came in is, how do you balance humor and emotional moments in your novels?
Well, it's actually when you're writing action adventure or when you're watching an action adventure movie, right? There's ups and downs. And you have the planning stage in like a ensemble like Avengers, they get around the table and tell how to do. Then they're getting ready to do it. You're climbing up the roller coaster. Then there's the big fight scene. Then they come down and be like, wow, that was a big fight scene. It's kind of the same with romance. The humor allows you to buffer and help your reader get into and kind of get into the couple, but have light moments so that when you're building up to a real dramatic one, when you come back down and diffuse it with humor, then it's not so emotionally draining or overwhelming. So I just try to plan beats of humor when it's appropriate, and then leading into something a little bit more dramatic, whether I'm writing action, adventure, or romance, and then come back down with a lighter moment, just so we have a chance to breathe. So
Tell us a little, Angela, tell me a little bit about your characters in the book. Are they in their 20s, 30s, older?
So I always write primarily older characters, and I say older, we're not 20 somethings. There's nothing wrong with 20 something protagonists, but I just love writing from that older point of view because I feel like a 20 something sometimes hasn't really been through a lot of relationships. And so to me, there's not a lot that to overcome all the time. I'm not saying, again, I'm just saying in general, even when I was 20, I did have some hard times, but at 20, between 20 and 40, wow. So I like writing 40s to even 60-year-olds, just like from their viewpoint. So I will always write slightly older characters.
Well, I like that you bring in older characters because they really understand heartbreak, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yep. And sometimes it's harder for them to heal. It's not an easy healing. And I love working with that because, we get a little cynical or jaded. And sometimes healing that kind of soul takes a little more work and a little more love to me than the heartbreak you might experience at 21, just from just your high school breakup or something, So, yeah.
Well, we have a comment here from Clayton, and it's about trust, patience, and showing up. That's what it is about a good love story, right? It's the trust, the patience, and showing up to heal those wounds and heartbreak sometimes. We have another question here from Clayton, and is what's your favorite part of publishing process, writing, editing, or seeing readers react?
Well, actually, I've gotten better about the editing, just drafting and getting everything on paper and then going back and really connecting the dots and making sure everything's woven together really nicely. So the writing sometimes is the most frustrating part for me. But once I get it down and then I can go back and I'm like, wow, okay, I see what's happening here. I hate putting it out there for readers to react to because I'm always like, be gentle.
You didn't read the next chapter. Don't be mad.
I know. But my first romance actually has an average like 4.5 and almost 600 reviews at this time. So very good feedback. And it helps to buffer the occasional 1-star where it just wasn't for them. So yeah, but editing is my favorite part.
Well, Angela, I'm going to bring up your book. If you just want to describe what the cover looks like for the audio listeners, what we're looking at, tell us how it came together for the cover.
Well, I use an amazing cover designer in New Zealand, and it's Yummy Book Covers, and she's recognized by the Alliance of Independent Authors, something every independent author that should join, just as they have lots of recommendations, communities, and they will help you if like your Amazon account gets shut down. But they recommended this, and she does these digital sort of illustrated covers. And this is set in Scottsdale, where I also live part-time. So I just wanted this to be like my travel guide to Scottsdale as well. Like all my favorite restaurants I put in here, and just the desert, how it feels and how it's different than Colorado. So that's why you have what should be Camelback Mountain in the back. But Scottsdale is a very popular wedding destination, just for an easy destination kind of wedding. And there's a lot of beautiful resorts. So yeah, that's Cam and Rachel. And they actually make a pact because they both hate weddings because they've been burned. And so they say, let's be each other's plus one and get through these next weddings. We're just friends, right? And we're not falling in love, but we're just going to be each other's plus ones, and that'll make these next few weddings easier to bear. So that's kind of what you're seeing there.
I like that plus one because, you go to weddings, sometimes you don't want to go by yourself because then you're that oddball, right?
Right. Then you're at the singles table.
And then you have all the singles coming and it's like,
right.
No.
Yeah, no. You need that person.
Well, Angela, I want to talk to you about the podcast because we have a question here from Profit Power. Is how has co-hosting the Author Next Door influenced your writing career?
And we're actually finishing our second year, which is awesome, but it's influenced it because I've gotten to meet guests and meeting you, Miss Liz, through Mickey, who I found on a website, finding podcast guests. It's amazing the connections I've gotten from it, but also when we have a guest on, I always learn something from them that I can use in my author career. And I'm always like, sometimes I have to be careful because I'm like hanging on their every word and it cuts to me and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to answer a question, because I'm just like so enthralled in what they're saying. I forget I'm supposed to be hosting a podcast. So I've just learned so much from all of my guests. They've just been fantastic. And just that I can kind of give back to the authors. We specialize in authors who maybe publish one or two books and get overwhelmed. Like, what am I supposed to do now? The marketing advice comes at you. The writing advice is still there. You're not starting at 0, but you're not at 100. You're kind of in that awkward sophomore year, right? Where and I've seen a lot of authors quit, and I'm here to tell you not to quit, and that, there's always hope and the way out is through. So keep going. That's kind of always our message.
Well, especially in today's world, right? The writing world is so overflooded, right?
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Same as like the podcast world. It's overflooded. There's so many people that are doing podcasting, some that shouldn't be doing it and some that should be working harder on their podcast because they have an amazing platform, but they get distracted because they see the little guys just horsing around. So then they start to horse around and I'm just like, come on, like get it together, guys. Like, yeah, you got something good here. Like do it. Like,
do it more. Yeah. Or if they're not consistent, like they have a great podcast and then it kind of, they're doing an episode and then there isn't another one. And yeah,
like just keep bouncing them out there, like, and have different topics. And I'm the same way, Angela. When I have a guest and I get like really into it, then I'm like, oh shoot, I'm hosting. I got listeners. Oh yeah, that's right. I got to get the question out. But I learned something from every guest, whether it's writing style, it's a adversity story, overcoming something, a healing journey, spiritual difference, like what people do to get over their challenges, writing styles, the different writing styles that the authors bring to the table, the plots, the schemes, the characters, how they get the names. That always makes me amused, right? Because some of the names that some of these characters have in books, I'm just like, where did that come from? Like, did you have a dream about it? Did you like...
Right.
Was it a little cartoon that you doodled when you were a little kid?
Where did it come from? I actually have a whole workshop on this and the importance of naming characters, because a lot of times we see a character name on page and it looks really great, but do we ever say it out loud? Because it looks, there's eye names, as they're called, where they look good on paper, and there's ear names where they sound good, and you have to find the ones that are both, because some, if you say them out loud, they don't sound very good. And if you think about it, when you're reading, you're saying it out loud in your head. You can almost hear yourself reading. And when you have a name that doesn't work, people trip over it. It almost takes people out of the story if the name is
Too complicated, right?
Yes.
Like it might be cool for the author, but the person
Right.
reading the book is like, how do we pronounce this? Like, how do you say this? And then you're so focused on the name that you lose the interest in the book.
Absolutely. You forgot who the character was because you can't pronounce their name. And as an author, you have to think, do I really want to type this for 90,000 words? You know? Do I really want to type this complicated fantasy name every time? So yeah, you have to be careful with that stuff for sure.
So Angela, what do you want the readers to discover about themselves after they've read your books or in your stories?
Well, I think I have a message in each book. You know, my superhero books, it's about women being stronger together. I think some women, when they compete against each other, they lose and they hurt each other.
Yeah.
And we're stronger together is the theme. And that kind of comes from me and my career working just in different female-led offices and different things. But in No Climb Too High, my main character, Roxanne, she's so used to stuffing all her wants and needs down, you know, and just sort of shutting down. And I really wanted to explore how I think sometimes if you're seen as a strong woman, you're supposed to be impervious, right? We've seen it with some of these superheroes that come out in some of these movies where the woman's just a badass. She's just strong from the gate. She doesn't need anyone. She doesn't cry. She's just super. But it's not realistic. And I think that puts pressure on us to feel like we can't cry if we need to, and we can't ask for help. And I'm a strong woman, but I got to be honest, I don't want to make the decisions all the time. I want someone else to make a decision for me, you know? And because we feel we have to carry so much that it was fun to explore that feeling that you have to be invulnerable sometimes to be considered strong. And I think we need to go back to the balance of that. And with my +1, just what you have to go through to find your soulmate, sometimes it's just not easy because you both have to heal in order to love someone enough again. So yeah, those are just different themes that I hope readers can identify with. I always want my characters to feel relatable. Like someone says, oh, I know how that feels. I really want them to see that, like to see a little bit of themselves in my characters.
Well, you know, and the soulmate love or the twin flame, they call it, you know, that is a hard love because you butt heads. One's a runner, one's a chaser, right?
Exactly.
And then it reverses, right? Then it's the chaser, then the runner. Like, you know, you get comfortable and then you're like, oh, no, there's something not here again. So then the opposite one starts to run and the other one chases, right? So it's just back and forth.
Yeah. As soon as sometimes we feel that comfort, it's almost, we go into fight or flight because it's like, am I allowed to feel this love again? Am I allowed to feel safe? You know, sometimes we put up so many walls because we're like, man, this is too scary. Or I love how I'm feeling and I don't want to lose it. So I push it away myself. That way I'm in control. Yeah. And those are things that I think when you're dealing with older characters, you can explore in romance. But it's funny that when I use this service that gets ARC readers for you, the advanced reader copies, and it was funny that the 20-something influencers didn't like my characters. because they wanted them to fall in love instantly. They didn't understand what the problem was. Like, why isn't he just falling in love with
Patience,
her?
guys.
And it's like, well, because he has to overcome all this other stuff so that he can be whole again. There's a journey, but it was my more mature influencers that absolutely loved it because they understood the journey. So it's interesting, when you have two different sets reading the same book, just get different feedback for sure.
So Angela, have you ever interviewed like couples, like older couples that have been married like for 40 years, 50 years, and get their take on how they fell in love and how they kept it together?
I have, just in different conversations with people we've met in our life. And honestly, it's the same message of, it's just the little things that make a difference. The little things that you can do for each other that show love, but it's also, don't get upset about the little things. Is this really worth being upset about? Is it something so small? The couples that have stayed together don't tear each other down. They really are best friends. And I think that's what I love to emulate. I think you do have to have a friendship first. It doesn't mean you can't have passion, but the friendship is what's going to carry you through the good, the bad, the ugly, if you have that foundation. And that's what older couples have said. It's like, we're best friends. No matter if they've been married 10 years or the last one I talked to are married 53 years. So that kind of what has resonated from me talking to older couples.
Yeah, my grandma and grandpa were married for 60 years, and my grandpa said, your grandma was always right.
Yeah, that's also sometimes the default. Just let the wife do what she wants, which we like that, but no, we want it to be a partnership. But yes, there's been, many men have just said, just let her do it, whatever it is. It's a common theme. Yeah.
Yeah. And my grandma used to always say, my grandpa kept the house warm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But it's like the older couples, right? The newer generation with romance, I find that it's about the passion, right? It's about the sex and the romance and all that.
Yeah.
They're not building the friendship up. And then they're wondering why they can't stay together long, because they've already committed to that part of the relationship before this part of the relationship.
Yeah. And I've seen that just even some of the romances I've read where it's a younger couple and it's the man who's slept with every girl on campus. And to me, I stop reading because I'm like, well, he is who he is. I don't think love is going to change this guy.
He's always going to be a player.
Well, I mean, some, not all, but I mean, if you have that mentality, I think that's just who you are. It's not right or wrong. It's just how those people are. But I think it's harder for me to see that love is going to save the day there, versus an older couple who starts out as friends and knows those little things. And then so when they do finally have their intimate moment, it's so rewarding, because you've already been seeing them together.
So in your books, Angela, are there any happy ever afters in the books?
Oh, yes. I mean, that is a requisite. I mean, that is a prerequisite of romance. And what I had to learn about romance, I mean, every genre has conventions, but you have to have either a happy for now showing them together or that happily ever after. And there's many conversations around this, but a lot of authors and readers feel like if you don't have a happy ever after, it's not considered romance, true romance genre. So yes, they all end in some sort of happy ever after for sure.
And how has your journey as an indie author showed you about yourself, like the softer side or the more edgy side? Like, have you found something about yourself through the writing journey of being an indie author?
I think, I mean, I've always been pretty driven, but I think I'm my toughest critic. I think most people are. You're never going to be harder on yourself. No one's ever going to be harder on yourself than you. And that's definitely what I've had to make peace with trying to make my books perfect or going back and forth, having stage fright before I publish something and just getting it out there. And I've had to be more patient with myself and give myself more grace. You know, there's things that I'm great at writing and there's things that I'm not so good at. And as long as I'm willing to learn, that's where it is. But I have been surprised by my perseverance in this because this is hard. If people tell you it's easy, it's not. There's a lot of times when I said, why am I doing this? But I always can answer that question and keep going because I love doing it. I love escaping into different worlds and characters, and it's a good, healthy thing to do, especially in this timeline. So, yeah, that's kind of what I surprise myself with.
And Angela, how long did it take you to write the books?
Well, I'm a slow writer, so it takes me anywhere from, I would say, 6 months to actually write a book. And then probably another, although I'm getting faster at editing, 6 months to edit. And in that editing process, I include like sending things out to alpha readers, people who are going to read it, and editors and things like that. You have to kind of, you're beholden to their timeline for how long it will take them. So yeah, for me, the writing isn't too bad, but it's the everything else that just takes forever. So, but hey, one book a year, or if I can get two out sometimes, that's about my production pace, which is fine, you know.
So, Angela, do you have any books in the works that are coming out?
Oh, yes, I have too many. I'm like, I have an idea every day. That's my problem. I wish I could turn off my brain and write faster so I can. I have book 3 coming in the Keepers of the Universe series. And I'm working on the sequel to My Plus One Equals You. And then there's also several in the No Climb Too High series, but I also have a romantic suspense series that I've outlined that's just the titles are like the call signs of these ex-military members who are now, they're kind of working for the bad guy, but then they turn good again. It's like a shadow A-team. But it's romantic suspense. So they fall in love along the way. So Torch, Jester, and Rio, and those are like the 3.
I like those names.
And those are their call signs. So yeah. So I just gotta have a day job and every other responsibility as a grown-up. Someday I'll get all these out for sure.
So, Angela, are you a morning writer or an evening writer?
I'm a night owl writer, which is why Spotted Owl fits me also. I just have more energy at night. And, you know, when I go through the day, I'm like driving to do something or doing laundry, I'm thinking about the story and making notes. And then once the house is quiet, you know, the phone isn't ringing, the emails have stopped, the dogs are asleep, husband's asleep, you know, I can just go in my little office, and that's almost my selfish creative writing time. And that's another piece of advice, is really be selfish with your writing time, even if it's 30 minutes. But sometimes I think we're conditioned to say, oh, if I'm doing something really creative, I'm being selfish because I'm not being with my family or I'm not doing my to-do list. But your creative time nurtures you and it helps you for all your other times. So you need to be really selfish with that and stick to that. And even if I don't write anything, I still go into my office hours and do something writing related, so that I'm keeping it going and holding myself accountable to that time.
So, Angela, has your husband read your romance books?
He's read the sci-fi ones. He started reading the romance one and he got too embarrassed and he put it down. And he put it down. He's like, Angela, what? But listen, my spice level compared to other people's, like I'm a real middle. I don't use like the graphic descriptions of anatomy. It's more demure. It's still open door. But I had to tell my husband, like, the romance template is, you can't really stray from it. You do have the phases where there's the meet cute, then they're noticing each other physically, because that's all we haven't talked to the person. We're just noticing them or seeing them across a room. And yes, there's a science to the things that you're attracted to, the way someone looks. That's a science that it's in your DNA, what you're attracted to. So they have to notice each other, and then they, start getting to know each other emotionally, and then it builds. But I think he stopped when I had my female character describing the male and oogling him a little bit. And I'm like, listen, that's how you have to do it. That's not me. I'm not suddenly thinking about this as we drive by someone. This is just how you have to do it. He didn't believe me, but he can't read those, and that's okay. He reads everything else, very supportive. So that's just fine. I don't really want my mother reading them either, but I did write it safely in case my mother read it. So
Well, that's the thing, right? Because it's a character that you're building. It's not like this is what,
Right. Yeah, it's not, I mean, there's part of me in it, but it's not like me. I'm not, feeling these things. You have to use specific language, and actually writing a sex scene is a lot more challenging than I thought it was ever going to be, because you really have to use specific words and beats and rhythms. It's like writing a fight scene only with kissing, basically. So I had to relearn that. But yeah, I mean, people are making moves just like in a fight scene. They're just different moves, right? So it's hard. So it wasn't just sitting there in my computer like, oh yeah. I mean, that was the most challenging part, writing sex scenes, to be honest.
So, Angela, what message would you have for somebody who's writing a romance book right now?
I would say read voraciously. Read all kinds of romances, because out of that, you will find your lane. You have to decide what do you want to be as a romance author? What kind of romance author? Do you want to write what people call smut or really spicy romance? Well, there's certain ways you have to write that to appease reader expectation. Or are you going to do closed door romance, which is no sex on the page? It's just implied. Whatever you do, it's just that you have to be comfortable writing those scenes, because if you are uncomfortable writing them, your readers are going to be uncomfortable reading them. And so read, and figure out which books you'd like, and then kind of study that author if you're just starting. That's what I did. I love Emily Henry. She's just perfect for me because she has some steamy scenes, but it's not graphic, and it still is wonderful to read, but it's mostly about the characters. So I latched onto her books, read almost all of them, and I learned a lot. So that's, if you're just starting, I would say start there.
Well, Angela, if you'd like to give out your website, just spell it out for the audio listeners, and your final message for tonight.
My website is Haas Writes, so AHAAS Writes.com. And I'm Haas Writes on Instagram. I believe you can also find me there, or the Author Next Door podcast. My final message is, I guess in general, just keep writing, keep doing. That's how we sign off the podcast. And even if you're getting discouraged, the way out is through. Keep going. You are good enough. You can do this. And even overcoming all the challenges that I've had, I still find joy in my writing. And if you find joy in what you're writing, that's half the battle. So just keep going and keep doing.
Well, thank you so much, Angela. I really enjoyed this conversation tonight and
I
getting
did
to know your
too.
writing
This was
style and
so
all
fun.
that. And getting to know a little
you.
bit about Bigfoot at the same time,
Oh,
right?
yeah, it's real. Just wait.
Well, I want to thank all the viewers and listeners that came in, the ones that came in with some questions in the studio. Thank you for
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
I'm just going to do a quick recap of what tonight's tea time is with a little bit of takeaway. And then I will see everybody tomorrow for the final 2. That's right. This week we've done 8 tea times. So it's been a crazy week. What a warm, thoughtful, and beautiful, hopeful conversation we have shared tonight. Angela, thank you for bringing your creativity, honesty, and love of meaningful storytelling to the tea time table. Tonight's conversation reminded us that romance is not simply about grand gestures or perfect endings. It's about emotional courage. It's about allowing another person to see who we truly are. It is about learning from disappointment without allowing it to close our hearts forever. Through My Plus One Equals You, No Climb Too High, and the resilient characters within your stories, you reminded readers just that second chances are not signs of failure. They are invitations to grow wiser, love more honesty, and begin again with greater understanding. We explore storytelling, slow burn, romance, vulnerability, personal growth, and the beautiful truth that love often arrives while people are still learning how to believe in themselves. One of tonight's greatest takeaways is this: a second chance is not a return to the life we have had before. It is an opportunity to build something stronger from everything we have learned. Angela, your stories reminded us that the strongest relationships do not erase our paths, they make space for it. They honor the journey. They allow two imperfect people to grow together without asking either one to pretend they were never hurt. As we close tonight's tea time, I would like to leave everyone with this thought: what new chapter might become possible if you stop treating your past as a permanent ending? Sometimes the heart does not need proof that everything will be easy. It simply needs enough hope to take one more step. Angela, thank you for creating stories that celebrate authentic love, resilient hearts, and the courage to choose new beginnings. Until next time, continue writing hope into every chapter, continue believing in the power of second chances, and continue serving real life tea, truth, experience, and awareness, one heartfelt story at a time. And tonight's takeaway from Miss Liz is: love does not require a perfect past. It asks for an honest heart, the courage to grow, and the willingness to believe that even after disappointments, life can still offer us a chapter filled with connection, healing, and hope. And I'll see everybody tomorrow, and we'll do this all over again.